All right, well, if the internet is to be trusted, we're streaming this thing live, but I don't know. Do I have any volunteers? Anybody who's like, I can move a camera back and forth in 2 different directions? Still can do it, right? All right, there's a camera back there. Move it back and forth in 2 different directions. It's going to be confusing, though. When someone's over here, point it there. When someone's over there, point it there. Got it?
Yeah, I can do that.
We trained a cameraman there in all of 15 seconds. How many of you, this is your first LVTech meetup? All right, that's cool. That's cool. How many of you, I guess that's another question I have. So we do this roughly once a month. Well, it actually changes. Sometimes we do 1 hour on a technical topic. So we've covered like Arduinos or the agile development process. What was the last tech talk we had? Robots. Brian did a tech talk on robots. And those go for about an hour and explore a topic a little bit more thoroughly. We also do meetups very similar to what you'll see here tonight, where we have 3 companies or individuals demo something they're working on, they've built, something like that. And that's going to happen next month. And then the other one that we've had, I think 2 of so far, is a spotlight meetup where we bring a set of experts and we talk about a topic. In the past, we've done entrepreneurship in the Valley and crowdfunding. So we have, I think, one of those coming up in 2 or 3 months. So if this is your first meetup and you're here for the Lehigh thing, know that you, other LVTech meetups you can find if you just go to lvtech.org, or I'm sorry, lehighvalleytech.org, lvtech.org will probably take you someplace that I don't know. Or just go to meetup.com and search for LVTech. We also do some bigger events once or twice a year, like our hackathons and our startup events, but the hackathon's done and you guys missed it, so what can I say? Sorry. Maybe in the fall. But anyway, hope you have a good time tonight. Tonight we're going to, like I said, this is a special meetup. Normally our meetups are on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, but this was scheduled to coincide with, I think, your normal class. Is that correct? Normal class schedule. And we have Josh and his team, or his Software Ventures class and all their teams. And they will be demoing for us tonight. I'll turn it over to Josh. Oh, one more technical note for the teams. We'll have this, and we'll also have, if you want to use one of these mics, just press the fancy button here, and it should work.
All right, thank you very much, Tim. First of all, thank you to all the LVTech. Can I just get a raise of hands by everyone from LVTech? Just curious to see. Very cool. So thank you very much for joining us. So this is actually Entrepreneurship 196 here at Lehigh University. It's called Software Ventures. We beta tested this course last year, and in fact, the gentleman in the middle, who we're going to introduce in a minute, was the original TA for the course and promptly dropped out after taking the class. But we'll keep that quiet between us and the streaming video. But we originally beta tested it, and it was something out of Homebrew Computer Club circa 1975. So literally, demo day was like a week or 2 before. We just said, hey, let's do a demo day, and that was it. And it was pretty crude. And but Tim and a few other people from LVTech were there, and they're like, you guys could probably do a lot better than this next year. And fortunately, we took Tim's advice, and here we are today. So I think we're really gracious and honored to have Tim and the rest of the LVTech crew here. On a good note, we have been approved to become we were a temporary course before, and now we've received permanent course status here at Lehigh, which is just really awesome. And we're actually cross-registering it with computer science and business as well. Because we saw the opportunity was that we had a lot of technology students who were learning a lot of the hardcore product stuff, and a lot of the business students who were learning a lot of the hardcore business. But we didn't have a platform in which both of them kind of got together and build software apps and platforms and so forth. So this course was designed with that in mind. So without further ado, we've capped the course to 15 students, and they're all here tonight, I hope. This is our first demo day. Throughout the semester, we've had everyone from the managing director of Techstars to a garage entrepreneur in our course. So we've had really a plethora of different guest speakers, and I'll definitely work with Tim in the future. So if anybody from LVTech is interested in watching some of these, you'll definitely be more than welcome to do that, as we hope to continue the collaboration moving forward. So we have 6 presentations tonight. They're going to be 6 minutes each, followed by a 6-minute Q&A from our panel. Our panel tonight consists of 3 individuals. Rita Chesterton, who was, you were involved as a teacher at Saucon Valley, and teaching social sciences and said, hey, I'm going to create an awesome educational app called Scaffold. And so you're the founder and CEO of Scaffold. We have Roger Graham, who was our former TA for Software Ventures, and who is actually went on to an accelerator right from the class, and is working with Techstars and pivoting his company called HIP, which you should definitely catch him after class to talk about, actually all three. And then we have Grant Hartman, who works with Chariot Solutions and has been around the industry for many years, and he's also a board member of the Awesome Foundation. So I'd like to give a round of applause to our panelists. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let you guys see the greatness that has come out of Software Ventures. So I think Tanto is our first team tonight.
Correct.
Great, let's get started.
All right, now you guys need audio, right? Yes. So, the room thinks it's smarter than we are. Just give me a second. I'm not doing that on purpose. It will come back up. If you've been to any of the LVTech presentations, you know the room thinks it's smarter. You still need audio. Give me 1 second. Or you go if you're not going to play audio right away.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So we're Tanto. My name is Asheen Connolly. This is JJ O'Brien, and this is Tim O'Hearn. So I'm a huge music lover, and last summer I ended up going to Firefly, which, for those of you who don't know, is a music festival. And a big problem that I think myself and many music lovers have is that we always want to discover new music, but sometimes you're stuck at a loss for a good way to do that. But at Firefly, I actually came across a solution to this problem. So you're meeting tons of different people. And one thing I noticed is that if you met someone at the festival that you liked 3 or 4 of the same bands as, and then they knew about this new up-and-coming band that you might not have heard of, I trusted their recommendations that they said, hey, they invited me and said, hey, come to the show with me. And I always really liked the recommendations that they made. So this led to an idea. And the idea is simply that if you can establish connections between people that have incredibly similar music tastes, then you can probably lead to new and better music discovery. Because the process in place right now to discover new music just aren't efficient. It takes hours and hours to do so. But if you can, through some sort of algorithm, establish that people have a very similar music taste, then this process can be automated and just watch, let's say JJ and me like a bunch of the same bands, and Jay just starts listening to something new. There's a very good chance that I might also like that band. So if that software ran in the background and just showed me that recommendation, it could be a much more efficient way for me to discover music. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim, who has a demonstration of what we have so far as an MVP.
Thank you, Shane. Let me take you through a quick MVP that we have right now. So this is Tanto, and this is the demo, the landing page for the demo. We streamlined the login process, so we're going to approach this as if we are a user that's registered but hasn't connected with any friends or uploaded any music yet. So everyone is going to be presented with this this option to sync their music. And then they'll be asked to ideally upload a folder in which we'll then go through and look at the names of the files and then check that with our database of the very different elements of each song. And that's how we'll do the matching. That's how the matching engine would work. So here I'm going to upload something which is basically just an XML file with file names. As you can see, it's mostly rap music, and we're going to see what that does. So here it's going to parse the metadata in that XML file. Then you'll be sent to the dashboard. This is where most things are going to happen on Tanto. We're interfacing heavily with SoundCloud, and one day it could even completely replace the SoundCloud dashboard, as most of it can be embedded here and easily shared. So a cool thing is that since it's embedded, we can play the music. And the point of Tanto really, when you have a type of layout like this, is that on the left side you have people you're already connected with. So these are people who I've had things in common with in the past, and these are people who I'm currently correlating strongly with. So each time I either like or dislike a song, as I could do here, my rating is going to change each time. And every time I refresh the page, I'm going to see a new set of people or slightly modified set of people who I now correlate with. On the right side is an opportunity for discovery. These are people who I haven't connected with yet, but who I have an extremely strong correlation with in terms of what music I like. So another really cool feature that we're looking at is the profile. So within the profile, you'll have something like your quote, and this will be your favorite music quote, show people a little bit about you, and then people can make decisions based on that, and also based off who you're already connected with and what songs you're already included in your profile. So here I have mine. I have basic rankings, and then I also have followers that people can look at. Below my followers, I also have listening habits, and this is where we really start to parse the data. Since it was mainly rap, you'll see that I have the hip hop is a large part of the pie graph, and then also favorite artists. So even if an artist is your favorite, you can still dislike their songs, and in contrast to something like Spotify or Pandora, this is much more powerful, and it requires much more liking over a period of time. So you can see month by month an example of data as it would go through, and you can see even as my tastes are becoming more refined and I'm getting less dislikes, I'm still having tens of dislikes per month, which makes a very big difference in refining your exact music matches. Then I'm going to hand it back to Sheen and he'll continue with the presentation.
Thanks, Tim. So before we built that MVP, we wanted to make sure that some of our assumptions were validated. And we talked to a bunch of people who really love music, and we confirmed that yes, there are these people out there who spend 5 hours a week listening and searching for new music to discover. So if we can make that process significantly more efficient for them and they'd still be able to find that same music, they said that they'd absolutely love it. We also saw services like SoundCloud. People were going out of their way to try to compile new music and share it with the people, but that's not what SoundCloud was designed for. So just because it's inherently inefficient at this, because that's not what it's designed for, we thought we could come in and be this new music discovery software.
Hi, I'm going to go into our business model now very quickly. So in terms of the competitive landscape, some of those music applications like Pandora and Spotify and MySpace are pretty popular, but what we found with Tanto is that we're optimizing the ability to social share music, and that is hugely different than pretty much all other options out on the market currently. In terms of user segments, it's really important for us to make sure that we're getting the right users, because they're the ones who ultimately are going to be providing us with the content and who are generally discovering and sourcing this music. So in order from the top, excluding artists, which we hope to get to later, you have people who source and share music and love it. They're the most important, down to general music listeners that will just be on trying to find any music. In terms of marketing, we're focusing on hip-hop, India, electronica, because that's what we found the fans to be most passionate about, their music. In terms of channel discovery,
There you go, in 6 minutes. We'll give them a little round. Judges, questions?
Sure. So I think as with most startups kind of in the social world, you kind of have this problem where you're basically a marketplace in the beginning, whether it's it's not actually a payment marketplace, but rather a social marketplace. People need to be on it for other people to use it. So how do you get there with this? How do you get that initial user base? Because that's obviously very important.
Yeah, so for us, what we found was that with music fans, and this is what's really important about the user segments, the people who source a ton of music and are the ones that are spending upwards of 5 hours each week trying to find this stuff, there's a group of them that really crave showing other people their music. I don't know if you guys are big music fans or whatnot, but I'm sure if you find music that you really like, you really enjoy showing it to the people around you and your friends and kind of showing them how cool this new song is. So it's that kind of network effect where you end up having people who are looking for a way to share this music, but don't really have a way to personally share it, through a social avenue. And then you have fans that don't have the time or really knowledge, resources, to actually find their own music and are looking for these people who want to share. And what you see with Pandora is that it's very solitary. It's based only on your taste. You don't see anything else. Spotify, you're listening to a myriad of songs that aren't necessarily new. What our platform can do is focus just on that new music and help the people that are looking to share, and the people looking to listen. And with that, kind of to piggyback with it, try to get our initial user base, we're looking at really going after music discovery blogs. At the very beginning, we found that that's a huge avenue that our current people who source new music are going through, and the people who run the blogs really would love this kind of program where it can assist people finding new music. Because on the blogs, they're generally commenting on the music as well as like showing the new music. So we're not like taking away what they're currently doing. So this kind of just helps the whole music community.
So, sorry, just to follow up with that. I think one of the big things that a lot of those people that you're describing have is that they have a platform that they really use all the time and like using. Like Spotify is the one that I think a lot of people use today, where they have their own playlists and they have tons and tons of data built up onto that platform already, where they store all of their music and different playlists based on different topics and stuff like that. So why do they jump ship to you guys? Why do they suddenly change their entire behavior to go to a new platform?
Really, from what we're doing isn't for them to erase Spotify from their habits or anything like that. We're in addition to. We're not trying to stream music or what's your favorite song. We're not showing you your favorite song. You already know that music. That's where you're going to go to listen to Spotify. This is where you're going to come to find new music, to then go into Spotify and listen to on a regular basis, or go to iTunes and purchase. And that's part of our revenue model, kind of midterm goal is getting it where when you see a song that you really like, linking to avenues for the user to purchase that song, that sort of thing.
I think you started answering my question, which was
Okay.
how are you going to monetize? Because so far I didn't see anything, and I know it's because you guys
Yeah,
got
it was the
cut
next
off,
step. Yeah.
but it didn't appear to have any way to monetize it.
Yeah.
Based on what you should.
Yeah, in terms of like any other social platform, like you talked about at the beginning of your question, in the beginning it's really all about building that base and we don't have enough user value at the point where we are to instantly be charging subscription rates or anything like that. We don't have the resources to stream music on our platform. So that's why, one of our needs on our final slide is a lot of capital. This is something there we're going to have to go and raise capital to create our runway in the very beginning, because we don't plan on making any revenue from the beginning. It would be foolish for us to even try. When you go down, you start to have medium goals, which is where once we have all the data, we can individually target you because you may like electronica music. I can target you with just electronic music and know which things you're actually purchasing or not. And then long term, our goal is to have a third model of music downloads. So right now you can purchase a song, you can do subscription, like radio style stuff. We also want to do a pay-to-play model, which isn't really being utilized in the market currently, where if you don't want to buy a song, but maybe you want to listen to it like 5 times because you like it, that's what I generally, I'll buy a song and only listen to it 10 times. The pay-to-play is every time you play it, you pay just a penny. And over time, that adds up, so you can listen to it only as little or as much as you want.
Have you guys done any research into how Spotify calculates their basically subscription service?
When you say subscription service, you mean like the pricing model?
Yeah, the pricing model, in that it's not based on per streams, which they said is very hard to calculate. So have you factored that aspect into your business model?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for the medium term growth, we really would focus on the affiliated, so like the affiliated purchases, where if they come through our service and purchase something like on Amazon, we would be able to get that strategy, like that money through that. But also in the long term, we think we would be offering a matching engine that would be equivalent to or superior for music discovery to a service like Spotify. In addition, long term, we'd also look at licensing the matching engine if we saw that people were coming to us specifically for that engine and that music discovery.
And I guess, I don't know, if we did some research on Spotify and how people kind of view them. The artists hate them. There's a big issue within there. We're hoping that what we can do.
Next up is Take Me. And yep, you should be good to go as soon as this pops back on.
Yeah, we have audio.
You have audio too? Are you plugged in there? Yeah. Then you're good. There you go. Well, it should be, but it's not. on that screen though? That's confusing me. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Sorry about that. And now let's come back on eventually. It's just there's a lag, so you're good to go.
Are you ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. Hello everyone, we are TakeMe, and we are a video messaging application where users can receive real-time video gratification from their friends. I'm Michael Luciola, this is Kevin Chen, and this is Caleb Briggs, and this is our team. So today, smartphone usage has exploded. About 2/3 of Americans will have and own a smartphone and can be considered a smartphone user these days. And with this explosion, there's been a big increase in video messaging through video messaging applications, as well as an increased social presence through mobile social media applications. As a result, mobile user trends have been driving more towards a desire to have real-time feedback from friends, real-time interaction with friends and others, and a huge desire to share experiences with others in unique ways. So when you look at the market of social media apps that are out there today, there are a couple great apps that offer some really great real-time video connections, like Ubu or FaceTime, where users can connect directly with one another and have a video conference. And there are also some other great applications where users can receive gratification from their friends through likes, pokes, and content generation. But there's no real great application out there that combines these two opportunities, that doesn't have this opportunity convergence. That's kind of where we come in. So we are TakeMe, and as I mentioned before, we're a mobile video messaging application where users can have real-time interactions with friends. They can share experiences in a new way, and they can also see reactions of their friends in a real live environment. And I'm going to pass it on to Kevin.
All right. So imagine that you're at a concert or at any event, actually, and you really want to share this experience with your friends. You want to do it in person, right now, real time, and without hassle. So what do? You open up TakeMe, and you log in. And let's say you're at a Swedish House Mafia concert, and you know that your friends Sam, Sonia, Mike, and Kevin all love Swedish House Mafia. So you choose them and you start the app. And you know that the next upcoming part is a part that all of you enjoy. You guys all like this part, and you don't want them to miss out. So you pick a time, let's say 60 seconds, and you enter a text so that your friends know what's coming to them. And you send your friends a notification. Now this notification will act as like a phone call. They have about 30 seconds or a certain amount of time to respond. The earlier they respond, the earlier they get to see the app and participate into the experience. And now let's see what happens once they all accept. Alright, so now we just simultaneously connected 5 people with an enjoyable experience that they all like. TakeMe automatically archives the video into the app, but if you wish to do so, you can also download it via this button or share it onto Facebook. But now what happens if you miss the notification or you're just simply unavailable? Well, fear not, because if you open up your archives, you can see all the videos that you were invited to, or if you started the video, and you can watch videos again to your own content. So here I'll send it back to Kayla.
Thanks, Kevin. So as Michael and Kevin indicated before, this is an app for individuals who love sharing content and are super social. And by sharing this content, they want to receive social renaissance with this. So we think that our target market would be high school students from the ages of 14 to 17. For these guys, content is king, but distribution is kingdom, meaning which they are willing to share almost anything. However, giving them the means to do this properly is huge. So this app would allow them to share video, obviously, with their friends real time, which is what they want. And some market validation about these users is they participate in social media applications all of the time. Their top 3 are Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. However, as we all know, these are not real-time applications, so this is, again, how we differentiate ourselves from these current social media applications out there. And as well, super importantly, teens are on their phone all the time. 24% of teens are nearly constantly on their phone, and 56% of them are on their phone several times a day, making it super easy for them to receive the notification and participate in our real-time video. So how's this all gonna work? Customer acquisition will be through Facebook sign up. And as indicated before, 71% of students 14 to 17 use Facebook, so it's a great platform for them to create buzz about our app and sign up, as well as the majority of their social circles are on Facebook. So going into retention, it's huge that our users share more and share to more people to get our app going. So Facebook, again, fosters this environment. And for revenue, down the line, we think that it would be great to have advertisements pushed through the archive application part. So advertisers could come in, have a video like you see on Hulu when you're watching a show, and could push this real time to our users. So thanks, and any questions?
Have you put any thought into the constraints that come along with storing a massive amount of videos? And I guess the second part of that question is, do you think advertising can sustain that cost in the long term alone?
In terms of storing onto the phone?
So I'm talking about back-end storage, where the videos will actually.
Well, obviously, a server, and so I can't understand the questions. And is the question how are we gonna deal with the storage?
It's I would say storage and cost of storage.
Cost of storage. Obviously, we need funding. I think most of the funding will go into back-end storage server. In terms of, I think the first part of your question was, with your storage capacity is gonna max out at some point. You could, like, a notification come up telling you you've almost at your max, you can delete some things, or after a certain point, some videos automatically delete themselves.
So I have some questions about your growth tactics. To me, it sounded like you kind of just depending on, we're just going to give it to some 14-year-olds and they're just going to share it with all their friends on Facebook, which sounds a little bit ridiculous. What's the reason that they share that, other than they're the sharing type of people? Is there an actual reason that they're motivated to share it? Meerkat grew because the tweets were pushed every single time someone started to stream. It wasn't because they wanted to share, it was because it was a part of the app. And even them aren't doing that well now. Periscope has done a lot better because Twitter owns them. So how do you avoid that?
Right, I mean, I think the first part of that is yeah, we're pushing it to a bunch of teens who are social and sharing in nature. And when they sign up on Facebook, their social circles will see that they're signing up. So we just hope that the growth that Facebook fosters almost by having your social circles already created there kind of allows it to take off.
Facebook doesn't, it gives you they have a lot of issues with this. They give you control over whether you share when you sign up for an app, even if you want that to be a thing that they do, so that people can uncheck that. And I think teens now, especially early on, it was like people share everything, but now people are a little bit more hesitant to do that. I don't think everyone's just gonna share right off the bat. So why would they want to share it? I guess is my question.
The value they get obviously is having feedback from their friends. So if their friends don't know that they're using this, they're not getting any feedback. So almost it's valuable to them as well to expand their friends that are on it using it, so they can share more and share with more people and get that feedback. So the value of them sharing their usage of the app is that they are hoping more people will join in and use it with them. So it kind of goes both ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's basically you want people are going to share it because
there's value to them as well to sharing it and increasing their social circles on the app.
Okay.
So just to go off what you said about Meerkat and Periscope, how do you keep your competitive advantage even if you launch? Because I'm not sure, like nowadays with social networking, if if you're linked into Facebook, so you're already grabbing people's friends from Facebook, anybody else can do that. So how do you stop somebody else from doing the exact same thing? Another app that's already kind of set up almost there, like how do you stop Periscope or Meerkat or even Facebook itself? It seems to me like you're adding one little component to something that already exists, which is video sharing, which is adding, now your friends are in there. So how do you?
And so I think that's a good question, and that video sharing is just getting popular. Yeah, there are a lot of apps out there, but there are a lot of things in video sharing that we think are unexplored so far. And that one thing that we're focusing on is real time. And another thing we're adding to it is multiple, instant feedback along with it. So look at Meerkat, where one person is streaming and many people can watch, but streamer can get feedback from users instantly. Or
Well, they can get Twitter feedback. I mean, that's the point of Meerkat, is that they're getting some sort of feedback.
I understand that. We're doing like a video instant. Our research is that the instant gratification is is the growing trend that people want nowadays. So that's what we're tackling. And another thing is, since you're doing basically you see each other's face. So when you start off, you're gonna do it with your close friends, close friends, and you're not trying to spread into random people right away. And from your friends can start another video where they got other friends. And that's a different way to spread or growth. Does that answer the question?
So 30 seconds. Have you put any thought into performance of the phones and the kind of problems you might run into in real-time video communication and something not working out? Do you think if the app is clunky and you have connection issues, that could really hurt you?
I think definitely, if an app is clunky, I would never use it. I think that's given. When launch, it's going to be definitely good. If there were issues, to be honest, I didn't really think about the issues. But if there were issues, it would definitely hurt, yeah.
All right, thank you. Next up is Crafty. You guys can start whenever you're ready. I mean, like within reason. That would be great.
Hello. So, how's it going, everyone? My name's Dave. This is Crafty, and I like beer. And we're a craft beer discovery tool that helps new craft beer consumers discover craft beer. So before we get started, we just want to introduce you to our team. As I said before, my name's Dave.
My name is Jake Shalfa. My name is Tyler. I also like beer.
So before we got into things, we wanted to kind of pose the question of why craft beer? Why would you want to drink a craft beer over traditionally grinded macro brew? Well, first off, craft beer is a connection. It's a way of directly connecting to a brewer who passionately brewed to something. It's tactful, it's tasty. There's something to it when you're drinking a beer. You can tell that someone really loved what they're doing. You also help support local economies. When you buy craft beer, you're supporting local businesses that really try and push their product out there and don't have the budgets to spend on huge marketing campaigns like these large macro brewers. And last off, it's delicious. There's no denying that. Even the sight of craft beer makes you want to drink it. There's something about it. It's darker. There's an essence to it. What about the craft beer market? Well, overall, in the last year, the craft beer market grew over 17%, and it grew over 20% in sales. It's a $20 billion industry, and it's 10% of the craft beer market as a whole. And this brings us to our problem. So we wanted to bring you into a beer store and show you what the problem was. The craft beer market is just truly vast. There's over 3,400 different craft breweries in America. There's over 10,000 individual different flavors of beer that are possible, and we want to help you find one of them. So who are you? Who's our customer? Well, we've defined our customer as the beer-curious individual, someone who has heard about craft beer, has heard about it gaining popularity, and has wanted to get into it, but really hasn't had the means necessary to do so, or kind of the drive to get into it. And we've identified across all demographics that this still classifies as most of the people into craft beer. The largest part of each demographic drinks craft beer less than once per month. So how are these people currently trying to discover craft beer? Well, currently they can either tell what beers are generally accepted as good, they can tell what their friends are drinking, or they can get beer recommended to them based on craft beer. But if you don't drink craft beer, how can you be recommended craft beer based on the craft beer you don't drink? We just thought it didn't make any sense. So we created Crafty, a craft beer recommendation solution that helps new craft beer users discover craft beer using things they'll know about. And right now Tyler's going to come up and talk about how exactly we do that.
Thanks, Dave. So to reiterate, our goal here is to find the perfect craft beer for each and every one of our users. Now, the vast variety in craft beer makes this possible, but it also makes it a bit complicated for one of these beer-curious users to navigate the space. We figured instead of using connoisseur terms for beer, such as funkiness or smokiness that no one really gets, or referring to beers that these people by all means haven't tried, we would use accessible everyday flavors. Our research showed that a lot of these really esoteric beer flavors, like the funkiness, are actually just subsets of more commonly available ones, things that are accessible, things you can tell every day. So our idea was to use things like coffee, chocolate, olives, to actually recommend beers. And what we found based on some research is that simple questions about everyday flavors like this can in fact tell a great deal about what somebody will and won't like in the craft beer space. Our approach has been data-driven from the start. Our most recent market research activity was actually to pick 15 subjects out of a pool of over 100 who perfectly fit our target demographic. We gave them an extensive survey about their flavor preferences, everything ranging from toast, malt, different beverages, etc. And then we actually sat them down and gave them a blind taste test with 6 different beers, really spanning the gamut from light beers to really heavy stuff. And we also got numeric backing from that, feedback scores. So this data set has allowed us, A, to build our recommendation algorithm based on the nearest neighbor approach, which we'll show later in our demo. But it also has allowed us to confirm a lot of, I guess, hypotheses that we had. For instance, a correlation between liking toast and liking malty beer. It was really cool to see that come out. Our next steps here are to gather many, many more data points and move on to something like a neural network algorithm, which will just be infinitely more powerful. But we'll see what happens with that. I'm going to pass it off to Jake now to discuss the revenue stream.
So this information is very useful for craft breweries. The way that they get any of their information out there is they have reps. Reps are extremely expensive for a craft brewery, or they get instead of some kind of distributor, which is also hard. So what they do is they go to a lot of different beer festivals, things like that, and they give away their beer. Us, as a company, we can generate a lot of leads for them. We can get consumers connected with types of beers that are very specific and connect them furthermore to all of the craft beer breweries. Through this, we're going to try to collect lead generation fees as well as maybe a kiosk system within some of these bigger beer companies. So first, or now we're going to go to our actual demo. And does anybody think they like beer but doesn't know? Okay, perfect.
Okay, hold on. So I'll run back there and Jake will run through it on the screen.
So you
All
want
3 judges would like to participate.
I'd be glad to.
I'll shout out what we're
you want to pull up? Here we go. Your choice.
Oh, I can play.
You're at a bar.
Let's go with the Blue Moon. I love milk. 2. No, just not.
All right.
Okay, I think, let's see if we got it.
You have a beer now? This team already
Here we go. Let's see if he likes it.
That's gonna be the best way to bribe us.
Except for the other 2 judges.
How is it?
You left
I
them
very
out.
much like
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So unfortunately, we do not, Abe's not have the blueberry beer, so we're going to give you a grapefruit alternative. It's fine.
So the point is, the more and more that we test this whole engine, the more accurate it's going to get and the more effective. Right now, we have, how many beers on it? 20?
Yeah, 20.
20 beers.
Top list of the Grady's.
So you can use our engine to decide what beer you want to use or drink when you go to McGrady's. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep adding more beers.
And to rehash, what's really cool about this approach of going back to basic common flavors is that profiling system can be used for any beer.
Yeah, you guys are out of time.
No, you guys ask questions.
What is your go-to-market strategy? So there are other competitors. I'm familiar with, for example, Untapped. I know my friends use it. I see their postings on Facebook when they like something. There are other competitors out there. And how do you get people who don't know that they need to know what beer they like? It seems like you're going for a market that doesn't even know that they need your product. So how do you break that?
There's a good amount of people that take or participate in a lot of these big beer festivals that might not be a particular craft beer drinker. So I'm one of them. And you can easily go to these places. There's constantly people handing out cards, saying, try this at your restaurant, recommend it to whoever. And one of the simple things that we did is I went to like a beer and wine festival and I was just, here, try this out, try it out. And people were fascinated and wanted to use it, and we just got email capture very simply and easily there. And once you start developing these relationships, especially with the craft breweries who really wanted to use it and like it, they love the idea that people are being recommended their beer. And then they start sending it out to, all of their, email lists as well.
I like that. I like the beer as well, so you guys have been pretty well. I guess I'm curious, is your revenue stream something that requires like tons of people to be on board with it, or is it something that like for each person you sign on is going to be a lot of money? Because ultimately that kind of promotion is going to be, especially in the beginning, like a very tight group of people. If you have a lot of passionate users, that's really great, but if it's only like 5,000, 10,000, then you just don't have the scale that something like Snapchat can, where it's just like, oh, we have a billion users, we raise a ton of money. So with that kind of tight group of people, can you still kind of survive, or do you need a higher number of users?
So interestingly, or we think so, that this is kind of a service that you don't really need, a billion users to be successful, since each user is giving you some sort of, money. In our two strategies, whether between customer relationship management with the breweries or, direct kiosk approach, if you're able to demonstrate some amount of sales in a retailer or some turnover of sales because one of these kiosks is in there, then there's value there. So every user that uses it is helping you gain a little bit of money directly to the retailer. On the customer relationship management side, the more leads you can generate for brewers, because they pay a significant amount of money to generate these leads, there's basically a direct approach to that. So the amount of leads you keep generating for each user with the brewer, there's a correlation with that. And for each person, we can generate that lead with however many brewers are in that area, hopefully.
And this is a big thing for a lot of bigger beer companies compared to craft breweries. Big beer companies don't maintain a personal relationship with the customer, while craft breweries do, because they're local or it's very specific, or it's something that like, I love that coconut beer, but like most people don't like coconut beer. And that's why they're actually losing such big market share. There are huge campaigns by Bud Light and a lot of these other companies to really connect, especially through like bartenders and things like that, directly with the consumer, because they don't have that relationship. And this is a very easy way to make that relationship. And then once you get your beer, you can go in, you can find out everything about it, and then connect with that company or connect with that brewery.
I have a comment and ask a question. I like the science part that you guys talked about. I like craft beer, and that part was very interesting to me. I don't think that I've ever seen that anywhere else, so I would recommend if you move forward with this, plenty of the science part and then the neural network part could be an interesting marketing strategy. So it's just a comment. Just curious about the kiosks. So the idea would be you would sell those to distributors, beer stores, that sort of thing, with the software pre-installed. Is that the idea?
In terms of actual deployment, yeah, sure. We figured we would probably actually give it to them for free because of the immediate value that it would offer both of us. Once it's there, it's basically an iPad mounted in an aesthetically pleasing and cheap display. Once it's there, it immediately starts working. So that's pretty much our thought on that.
You can start collecting, doing subscription with some of these kiosks if you have use of it. The thing is, it's really useful for every single person who uses it, but you don't need to connect with other people. You're connecting directly with the craft brewery. And for a craft brewery, it's just a lot more, with individual customer acquisition. So getting one customer that likes their specific beer is a big deal. try it. Videos.
I'll leave it a waste.
Yes.
All right,
Thanks,
next
sir.
up is notable.
Check.
You guys can start whenever.
Alright, hello everyone, we're Notable and we're here today to show you our application that lets you easily create share notes online. So let me just give a quick introduction of our team. I'm Patrick Gillis, this is Josh Ryan, and Olivia Gould. So before we show you our app, I'd like to take you guys through a journey through the evolution of note-taking. So note-taking is one of the most ancient forms, goes back all the way to the beginning of civilization, to where a caveman would actually just pick up rocks off the ground, sharpen them, and draw pictures and marks on the cave walls. Fast forward a couple of thousand years from there, and you had the introduction of the quill, ink, and parchment. Now this was considered an innovation in terms of note-taking because it made writing and documenting things so much easier. So fast forward a couple hundred years from there, and you have the classic number 2 pencil and notebook and paper that we're all so familiar with today. So my question is this as best as it gets? Is this as good as it goes? You know, what's the future of note-taking look like? And in order to answer that question, it's imperative to understand the current trends that are occurring within note-taking today. So if you look at any college or high school classroom today, about half of the students are going to be taking notes on mobile devices or laptops, and the other half would be using the traditional pen and paper methods. And although it's 50-50 right now, I like to call it the clash between the old schooler and the new schoolers. And with the way technology is progressing, it's safe to say that the new schoolers are going to have the advantage over the old schoolers and eventually replace those methodologies entirely. So what does this mean in terms of a market opportunity? Well, we think that college students are the perfect demographic to go after here because they're taking notes on a day-to-day basis, whether they like to or not. It's really important to take or use notes to do well in college. So if you take college students and notes, give them the ability to collaborate with these notes, and put that in an organized fashion, we think that this provides a very valuable market opportunity for Notable to satisfy.
So through our market research and our own personal experiences, we found 3 major problems with note-taking today in colleges specifically. First, it's unorganized. You either have a very messy notebook full of papers or a messy desktop full of files. Secondly, it's restricted. Your notes are static between the users, and if you want to share notes with someone, you have to email them, send them a link, or physically give them a copy of your notes. Thirdly, they're incomplete. If your professor's talking too fast and you miss something when you're writing it down, or you fall asleep in class, or you miss a lecture, you're missing vital information that's important for that course.
And our solution for this was to design a really lightweight and a really intuitive application that will allow users to log on and instantly begin taking notes for whatever class they need to. So I'm just going to run through a real quick demo here. So you come to this page right here, and you are prompted to log in, and this actually uses the Lehigh login, so everybody can instantly start taking notes on this application. No registration required. Here you're going to see all your different courses, and you can select the course that you want to take notes in, and immediately after selecting the course you want to take notes in, you'll be prompted to start taking notes here. So you just kind of start typing in here, you put all your notes in here, give it a title on something, call it demo day, whatever capitalization you want. And if you need to add vocab, you'd add it here. There's a spot for general notes. It's going to save every 20 seconds, you're done. As soon as you're done taking notes, you're going to close the tab, close your laptop, leave class. Real simple. So you go home later, and you come back into the course that you want to look at your notes, Law 201 or whatever, and you'll click on My Notes, and you'll see all the notes that you've taken for this class. There's a lot of demo days here from the practice rounds. If you also want to look at all the notes in Lehigh for the class that you've already selected, Law 201, you can click on the Lehigh Notes tab and select the topic that you want to look at. Look at contract law, and you'll see all the different users that have taken notes on this topic. You come over here, sort by score or whatever, and you can select a user that's taking notes on that topic and see their notes for the class. Up here you can rate the notes, and that's how we rank the notes in our application, and that's the entirety.
So like we said, we're focusing on college students, more specifically freshmen, because freshmen, when they come to school, they don't know the ropes of college yet. So we want to get them and target them so they see Notable as the way to take notes in college.
So in terms of how we get users early on, we think that direct marketing and personal selling would be really effective here. And so we do that through 2 ways. One would be orientation leaders. Orientation leaders are a great resource for the freshmen because they have the knowledge and skills that are required to do well at the school. So the freshmen are going to know that, and they're going to be willing to hear them out and give it a try if they present them with Notable. Another tactic we would use would be to hire on-campus reps to go to campus and basically spread awareness of Notable across those campuses. And they would be using live demonstrations, promotions, and kind of crazy stunts or events to sort of grab people's attention, such as Mr. Notable, for example. In terms of our business model, we realized that we have to make our application free to use initially to get users to even consider using it. We have to generate revenue somehow, and so we figured the best way to do that would be through freemium features. So we came up with a list of some really cool freemium features that we think would appeal directly to these college students. And some of the main ones we highlighted were note merging, optical character recognition, and including preloaded charts and graphs into the app. And so we think that these would make it much more efficient for the students to take their notes, and they would like them.
So this is our competition, ranging from standard notebooks to word processors, Google Drive, Evernote. You can see Notable stands out by its brainless organization and its ease of sharing notes. You have limitless, unrestricted access to your peers' content. Thank you. Any questions?
Question. Have you looked at, and I wish I could remember the name, I feel like you're missing some competitors in terms of on the college marketplace sharing notes. I know that, for example, there was a company, I don't remember the name of it, that just got a ton of funding for selling, where students can go on, and if they take great notes in class, they sell them to their fellow students. So the question becomes, how do you compete with something like that, where, why would I share my notes for free in your app, where I can take my notes and get paid to share, because I'm an awesome note taker and people are paying me, and they're doing really well. I know they've got millions of users, so it just seems to me it's a concerning competitor that you guys kind of missed out there, and I wish I knew their names. I could tell you who it was.
Yeah, that was also one of the revenue models we were kind of looking at, was like a note marketplace type deal, but we thought that initially we need to generate content, so the way to do that would be free and kind of like enable that collaboration. It would definitely be something we'd have to look more into, because that is definitely a big competitor. We looked into Chegg a little bit, where you can kind of buy solutions to homework and kind of like that, but.
I think also on the flip side of that, right now at Lehigh, nobody's doing that though. So there's no way for people to just go get paid for the notes. And if you had an application where you could just log on and you didn't have to pay for notes, why would you not do that rather than going somewhere to pay for potentially better notes?
So I like the general concept. I think you're going to have a ton of issues actually getting people to type in notes versus write them. I always write my notes, but I'm completely computer guy. I'm in tech. I prefer typing when I can, but at the same time, when somebody's speaking to me and telling me things, writing just feels faster, and it feels like I can organize things faster, drop things faster. So even if you allow them to upload the notes, that seems like a huge barrier to overcome to actually get people to put handwritten notes online, or even consider using an online app if they're handwriting their notes. So how do you avoid that?
We actually, I'm a computer science and business student, so I'm in both colleges, and I see there's actually significantly more people taking notes on laptops in the business school.
Do you have numbers on that?
Not concrete numbers, this is my look around statistic, but sitting in a business class, you see more than half the kids have their laptops out. I mean, there's better desks in Roush than Packard, but that's whatever. So I think that if we targeted, the business school is literally just write down words and whatnot, whereas if you're in an engineering school or something like that, you need to draw complicated graphs and stuff like that. So you're gonna choose pencil and paper over that, but I think we could further target business students or some other subset of our target market to compensate for that fact.
Are there any privacy features that you've considered in terms of maybe what if I don't want to share my notes with the whole class, maybe I only want to share it with my friends, that sort of situation, or if I submit my notes, does it automatically go out to the whole class?
Yeah, it automatically goes out to the whole class. We were thinking that it would detract from like our biggest value proposition if we allowed people to consult, like to hide their notes from other people. So like the biggest draw is that you can see everyone's notes and everybody knows that going on.
And I forget, sorry, did you say there's a way to rate this?
Any other questions, judges? Thank you. All right, next up is Telred. Yeah, it's exciting. Like STEM. Go ahead.
Okay, so we are here today to present to you Telerent, phone when you need it. So to start off with the team, my name is Casey. I led product. We have Andrew, our tech lead. Next we have Alex, who spearheaded the financials, and Katie, who was our business development head.
So how many of you in here have a smartphone? Raise your hand. Awesome. So like many of you, I have an iPhone and I've broken it before, and it's ended up looking like this. And that's not great when I'm trying to wake up in the morning, use it for my alarm, maybe get an Uber ride, or even order dinner on my phone. So we're focusing on business professionals that break their phone because it's important for them to perform their duties at work to make sure they have a working phone. So we found through our customer discovery that 75% of U.S. employees use their personal smartphone for work. So this is why we're targeting professionals, because a lot of you would think, oh, the company pays for their phone, they'll replace it. But in reality, people are in charge of having a phone that's working. So our solution is an online marketplace where users can rent out their iPhones to business professionals. To start off, we're only focusing on iPhone rentals, and we're charging daily rates at close locations only in Manhattan, and then this will allow people to make money off of extra iPhones. So now we're going to go into a demo that shows a use case of using our MVP.
So I'm Andrew, I'm an NYU student, and I have a little bit of time before class. And I've heard about Telerent, and I'm very interested in making a little bit of money renting out my extra iPhone. So I'm going to put this down for a moment. And I sign into Telerent, and I'm able to post a listing regarding about my phone. So I click on post a listing, and I'm able to enter the information regarding my phone, essentially. So it's an iPhone 5. This. And I choose the model. It's 5S. Verizon, storage. I give it all the information that someone will need when they're trying to choose a phone. And I'm able to select the location. And I'm able to save the listing. So it looks like our hosting is not. In any case, what I would be able to do is take this phone to a location that's near me, and we're partnering with repair shops for that. Phone repair shops that would be able to store our phones. So I bring my phone, and I say, hey, I'm dropping on this phone from Telerent.
I would take it and I would say I'm going to charge it, store it, and I'm going to check if it's functional, and that when someone rents it out, he'll get an email and he'll start making money. So it's good.
Yep.
All right.
All right, and I'm a business professional, and I just got out of a meeting, and let's say I slip and I break my phone, and I have a meeting in 20 minutes. So I'm going to hop on the site as well. I'm going to be able to know exactly where I am. I can zoom right into New York City and find a phone that looks right to me. So I can jump on. I can rent it right now. I'm not going to break it. I would be able to come over to Alex, go to the repair shop.
And I would say, Casey, it's ready. I've activated it.
Everything's on it. Everything's good to go.
Everything's good to go.
And I'd be ready for my meeting.
Cool.
So now that we've talked through the problem and our solution, I want to talk about the market. So we're going to start off in Manhattan, and we know that 75% of business people use their own personal phone. So we took the population of Manhattan and took 75% of that, and we think we can capture 10% of that market because we looked at distribution channels of cell phone repair shops. So, looking deeper into our competitive landscape, we judged competitors on two metrics, price and speed. We found there were two basic groups of companies. One that had low price, slow, it would take a few days for you to get a new phone. And then we had the four major telecom carriers that would moderately fix your problem, and they were pretty expensive. So we found a market gap, low price, high speed. There are two major distribution channels we were going to try to use. Unconventional PR, so having cell phones break in Times Square, viral marketing through a referral program, and our business model is that there's going to be a fee of $6 to $9 and a profit. We're going to take 7% of that, giving some to the person who rents it out and some to the repair shop. So our next steps and ask, we want $200,000 in order to get our traction model out there, expand to Boston, and do an official launch. Thank you for your time.
Questions, Jed?
Sorry, we don't have the beer.
So I like the general idea again. I think the thing with this is like most people that I know go to an Apple store to get their iPhone repaired. So I was thinking, you could use these repair shops as kind of a way to grow your audience, but I think that would be really hard. So I'd like to hear more about your kind of thoughts on the unconventional PR and viral marketing, because that's not something that's very easy, and it requires kind of trying 1,000 things and hoping one of them sticks, and not really knowing which one's going to stick. So what are your ideas there?
So for viral marketing, we're thinking of a referral program. So if you refer someone to use the service, you get a free phone rental. And we see this as a loss in terms of customer acquisition costs versus long-term lifetime value for a year. But we think once we build a user base, that'll switch and we won't have to utilize that.
Actually, the referral programs just in this space are really tough because the amount of times that people are going to be using your service over a period of time. Something like Uber works really well with referral service because it's like, I'm going to use it overnight and I'm going to use one tomorrow. So if I get $30, that means it's going to be really valuable to them right now. How many times are people breaking their phones to the point that a referral program is actually going to, kick off a viral effect? It's really hard to do.
Yeah, definitely. So I think in our market research, we found on average people break their phones 4 to 5 times every 2 years. So it would definitely that would definitely be tough from that perspective. And then for our unconventional PR, we were thinking just doing high-profile events in Times Square. So one idea we had was have people dress up in cell phone costumes and fall down and then have people walk up and ask them what's wrong and just kind of get it out there. So that was our idea for unconventional PR.
I guess my question is getting people to give you their cell phones. I know that people do frequently have sort of extra ones sometimes, but you either keep it for yourself as your own insurance policy, or you sell it on Craigslist and you make money because you need money to buy your new cell phone. There's an expense there, plus there's the insurance. Like if I'm going to give you guys my cell phone to rent to other people, I want to make sure that I'm going to get my cell phone back. And if there's such a need for this rental of cell phones, wouldn't the repair shops already provide a rental service for their phones by just buying cheap phones on Craigslist and giving them to people for a couple of days as an extra charge as they repair their phone?
So just starting, we would definitely, it would just be an extra phone you have. And so yeah, a lot of people do keep them if I break my phone. So similar, if you go to a hotel, they put a hold on your credit card. So anyone that will be renting the phones from the site will be guaranteed to return the phone in the same condition that they borrowed it at. So from that level, we're not that concerned. And also just market validation, if people are willing to allow people to stay in their homes, like Airbnb, we think an iPhone and an extra one is less personal. So we don't really think there'll be a huge issue there. I think you had another question.
Yeah, I think the last point was just if there's such a business in renting out phones, why don't, or do repair shops already rent out a couple of extra phones when people bring in a broken one?
Yeah, so we actually went out into the marketplace and talked to some repair shops, and what we found was that about 80% of their customers are just there for the aesthetic screen. So their major customer base really isn't looking for hardware repairs, they're looking to fix that 30-minute screen. They said most of the repair shops within 30 minutes, they're in and out, their customers. So we wouldn't really be cannibalizing any of their business. It's not something that they find as a market need. They're more of just a middleman to facilitate making sure that it works properly and to distribute it.
Right, but I'm just saying, if they're quickly getting their phones turned around anyway, then you only have 30% of repair shop business who need to rent a phone. So why aren't those repair shops just running phones themselves if it's profitable at all? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's a good question. I just don't think it's their core competency. That's not where they're getting their revenue, and they're just not advertising it. It's definitely something that they could come in. That's one of our concerns, right? So they could come in and offer the same service, but right now it's just something that they're not getting their revenue from.
Just a quick comment. I have to disagree a little bit that a phone isn't personal. Like I think for a lot of people it would be the equivalent of them, basically giving you a hand to borrow. It's an extension of who we are. It has our apps on there, it has our social media, our Facebook, our LinkedIn. We get texts, and all that happens very much in real time throughout the day. I think it might be hard for people to part with that on a regular basis.
I think, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I think, we're wiping the app and not getting the phone with all your apps on it. It's completely wiped, blank, and then you activate your own cell number on it, so it's not like you'll get random people texting or calling you. So I think being extra and the fact that it's wiped, it looks like any iPhone. It doesn't have any, humanistic qualities that you could say, this is Josh's iPhone.
30 seconds. Anything? No. All right. Thank you.
Next up is Indify.
My name is Matt. I'm actually the TA for this class. So before I start, we just have a round of applause for all the groups that all right, so as I said, I'm Matt. I'm a co-founder of the company called Indify. Before the Rolling Stones were the Rolling Stones and Tupac was Tupac, they weren't all that different from you and me. The inherent beauty in their story is that someone along the way discovered their talent and made them who they are today. At Indify, we help record labels discover Tupac before he's Tupac. We help the record labels discover the Rolling Stones before they became the Stones. Today, discovering talent is very difficult. With YouTube, SoundCloud, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, and many other metrics, information determining which independent artists are going to succeed is scattered across the web. At Indify, we use this information to tell record labels who the next big stars are. Our product combines all these metrics and is an online data book. Indify uses a proprietary algorithm called the Indiscore to rank independent artists as per their chances of future success. Our Indiscore takes into account all these social media metrics I just mentioned, blog post popularity, and listener data. Since the beginning of this year, we've been sending out editorial content to Warner Music Group and Sony Music. We've received extremely positive feedback regarding these newsletters and the artist picks, and we're working closely with these labels to create a data solution that fits their needs. The talent recruitment market today is extremely inefficient. Recruitment personnel, or A&Rs, spend roughly $2.5 billion annually, most of which is going toward looking for unsigned independent artists. On the other hand, roughly 70% of independent artists do in fact want to sign a record deal. At Indify, our business is simple. We offer a data subscription product to record labels to tell them who these next big stars are. These companies, or our first clients rather, are major record labels. These companies are huge corporations that are conglomerates of many smaller record labels. We'll be offering them a data subscription product with the subscription model using a monthly subscription fee. Additionally, we'll be offering independent labels the same subscription model, but with a reduced fee because of their smaller size. Our team consists of 4 members, all of which have a passion for music and an understanding of data. We've already received some initial funding, and we got accepted into an incubator for the summer, where we plan to work hard to get our first beta on the market. At the start of 2016, we'll plan to launch our full product and have several deals with record labels on the table after giving them access to our closed beta. At Indify, our goal is very simple. We tell record labels who's next up. Thank you. I'd like to demo our initial product for you guys. So the main part of this product is, as I said, the Indiscore. So there's not a whole lot else to it other than the ranking of artists. So when you first load the page, this is our very early alpha. You have a list of different artists and their relative rank. So if I really like Johnny Trumpet right here, I can go ahead and click on him, and I'm presented with a screen that gives his actual Indiscore as a number, as well as his rank. You have a nice picture of him, and then you have a drill down of certain statistics that you can further see. So if I wanted to go ahead and just see how his Spotify is trending, I can go ahead and click that off and see, okay, his Spotify plays are shooting through the roof. Let's check out his Twitter followers. They're correlated nicely as well. So you not only get to see our proprietary algorithm, you can see kind of the statistics that it's derived from. So the final aspect of this demo is if an artist isn't listed that you want to be tracked by our system, you can go ahead and add an artist. For example, I want to see Chance the Rapper. You can go ahead and search. And what this is doing is this is then going and querying a bunch of different social media like Spotify, Facebook, SoundCloud. It's taken a while because it's doing all those. Actually, I don't have internet access, so it's not even going to work. But if that did work, and I did have internet, it would present you with options to choose from, the 5 most likely options for each. You can go ahead and pick the ones you want, add the location of the artist, the genre the artist uses, submit the artist, and then we then every day track the artist's statistic improvement. So other than that, that's Indify for you. Thank you very much.
Judges, questions? So I like the idea. It's cool. I'm by no means a music industry expert, but I have to believe that when these guys go out and look for talent, it's a very subjective thing as the way it stands now. They're looking for how they sound, their stage presence, how they're affecting the audience, potential star power, all those things. So there's that, and then there's all the things you have here where you're analyzing different data about basically social media sites. So is there a way to guarantee that what you're doing is as good or as effective as the subjective traits that I mentioned?
Right. So obviously with any sort of statistics, you can't be 100% positive. What we found so far, actually I'll back up and say our CEO and one other member on our team worked for Warner Music Group, so they have background with the digital strategy department, they have background with record labels, they know the people in the A&R departments, and their sense is at the end of the day, these record labels want to make money just like any other corporation. So if the numbers are telling them that this artist is popular amongst everyone that's listening to their music, then most likely they're going to follow that, those numbers. What we found so far is that our statistics are very good analysis of an artist's potential success. I can give you an example. Our newsletter last month that we sent out was like a South by Southwest special. That's where a lot of independent artists like to go and try to promote themselves. Contained 3 artists. One of the labels we sent it to said that one of the artists they're actively pursuing, one of the artists that they've heard about and they're looking more into, and one that they hadn't heard of. So you kind of get the good range that we wanted to see.
I'm curious about the kind of discovery side, like you have like the ability to add an artist in. I feel like, yeah, I hate to use this example. Justin Bieber was just like a YouTuber, right? Just making music on YouTube when he got noticed by Usher. So he wasn't on most platforms, and I can't tell you exactly. He might have been on a lot of them. But like, how do you find, you know, those kind of diamonds in the rough when they're not necessarily fitting into your model of how you rank an artist? Because I think that there are a lot of artists.
Right, I'm glad you asked that. Justin Bieber is a very rare exception. Most often you don't have an artist rise that quickly in popularity. And there's a good chance since Usher found him that Usher with his record label was the one that was the driving force behind that acquisition. We're looking more for the independent artist that's been working hard and using all these social media platforms to promote himself. We're using that data, those statistics, to see how well he's performing based on his own work, not necessarily finding like the 1 in 100 artist that's going to be spotted by someone like Usher. We're looking more for the person that won't be spotted by Usher, the one that gets overlooked often because they're not backed by a big name.
Now I'm searching for a question. I guess my real question is that in terms of the value you're sending out, it looks like you're just pulling from a couple of social media sites. And how do you prove to the record labels that it's worth it to buy your product rather than to just look? I mean, because it seems like you're just picking things that are trending. And how do you showcase some of that value? And if everybody else is, you know, you're selling your product to everybody else, I can just have an intern go out and check and see how many Twitter followers so-and-so has. And I know you talk about but you would have to prove to me that there's something about your algorithm that's different than just, because when I looked at it, it seemed to me like you're just seeing, are they trending up on all of those sites? So I know you can't probably tell me what your algorithm is, but
Right.
Is it more than just you're trending up? Because trending up to me is something that's pretty easy for my cheaper intern to go out and just check a couple of times and say, okay, yeah, their Twitter account's going up, and yeah, they've got more people on hitting them up on YouTube.
Sure.
So is there more to it than that? I know you can't give me the secret sauce.
Absolutely, I'll give you as much as I can. So the graph that you saw is literally just the graph of the number of followers or plays they have on those specific platforms. Our algorithm does a lot more than that. It takes into account not only those statistics, but how they rank against other artists and how they're trending versus those other artists we have tracked. So that's the answer kind of to your second question. There's a lot more to it than just seeing if they're going up. To answer your first question, the reason we send out these editorial newsletters is to see whether or not the data that we've been collecting and the industry score that we've been calculating actually works. And that's where a lot of the positive feedback that we've been getting really validates our assumptions. It says, okay, we have artists that we feel as tastemakers should be big artists, being validated by these record labels saying, yeah, we are looking into some of them, we like your picks, stuff like that. So there is a lot more to it than just sending numbers out and saying, hey, these are the artists. There is taste involved, but as far as our assumptions go, we've been pretty solid across the board.
How do you pull your initial list? Because that's the same question. So maybe you can tell me. The idea is, you know, you're following people who you kind of already know are making it. So it seems to me like you're waiting for people to sit a certain level of popularity, and at that point, are you too late to the game?
Right. So as of now, it's our team that's going out, talking to other people, finding who we feel independent artists are that should get more recognition. Down the road, when we do intend to sell this to record labels, that add an artist page that I attempted to demo will be also in their hands. So if they have word from an artist that they want to learn more about, they can go ahead and add that artist to our platform and then see how that correlates with our industry score against the other artists.
All right. Thank you.
I have to, on behalf of Wayne, make an announcement that there is no alcohol served in this building. So although you may see a cooler full of beer over there, you may not partake in that. So When he's not here, somebody has to be. Are the judges going to come up with a consensus or something?
Yeah, so I would love for the judges to come up with a consensus of who they thought was the winner of Demo Day, and perhaps just a few kind of parting thoughts from each judge. So perhaps we could be honest. Yeah, maybe take a deliberation here for a minute.
Give them a beer on their way.
All right, well, as the judges are deliberating, I don't really have anything planned. Anybody do a ventriloquist?
No.
Of course you are. You can move a camera back and forth, and he's a ventriloquist. But I'll just encourage you to check out the LVTech site, see the events that we got coming up, and definitely avail yourself of some of the other interesting things that are in the Valley. We do a podcast of sorts at radio.lvtech.org should be every 2 weeks, but it depends on whether or not I'm traveling. And highlight some of the interesting things going in the Valley. If you've never seen the Fab Lab, there's a Fab Lab up in Northampton Community College. There's a lot of interesting things going on in the makerspace and the co-working space down at the Hive. So plenty of stuff to check out. I think we'll probably just let everybody mill around for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I'd actually be interested in getting some feedback from the audience, especially the LVTech crowd, as we're waiting for deliberations. Anybody have any feedback or suggestions or thoughts? This is kind of our first formal demo day, but we'd love to make this an even bigger event, not only for our class, but Lehigh and perhaps the whole community, the community as a whole. Yeah.
I would just like to say to all participants, I myself am a startup, and it took me a while to refine my ideas and all that kind of stuff and to really think things out. And it is a very competitive market, and whatever happens, there's going to be a lot of changes. Like, you might think one way and then be told another thing, but always keep working hard and refining your idea and keep at it.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Aside from my usual feedback.
What is your usual feedback?
Talk to customers more. But then you guys did a really good job with that. I really liked all the demos. I just hate all the login screens. I think that's just it's going to be phased out soon enough, so be creative with that. I just really hate the login. Go with Facebook login or something. But when you're doing a demo, don't get caught up in the technology of the demo. Show me, wow me, you'll get the tech one day. So make your demo clean.
I have a piece of feedback to all the participants. I think you guys did a great job, and I would say when you do pitches, focus more on why what you're presenting is important and how it's useful, rather than the specific features of the app or whatever it is that you're making, or the app itself, because it's not about you and it's not about the app. It's the idea as a whole. I mean, it is about the app, but the product itself is what it's about. And
so what's the main thing that's setting you apart, kind of thing?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah.
This is a little technicality. Would you give the judges the microphone so that we could hear the question?
We normally do. I just was not able to get here early enough to set everything up. Any other feedback to the teams?
Beer's a nice touch.
If anyone else wants to try it, we still have outside. You'll know what beer at McGrady's to try.
You can definitely figure out, yes, you can figure out what you will drink on property that is not Tech Ventures.
That was using the McGrady's beer list, so.
If we have additional feedback for individual groups, do we just put that on the meetup?
You can, certainly.
Okay.
I'm sure they will, yeah, and hassle them there. Are the judges confused, deadlocked?
No, they're coming out in the next 5 seconds, so chasing. I think there's only 2 of them.
We lost each other. Still good on.
All right, so I think the judges have come to some conclusions here, and I think it's really cool because Roger was actually our TA last year, and both TAs have gone on to go to accelerators for the summer, so that's pretty cool. But I want to ask you, Roger, which presentation was better, yours last year's or Matt's this year?
I gotta give it to Matt. Actually, like by a landslide. I think with when I was presenting, I didn't really have really core knowledge of the industry, and I think that's something that's really big, and that's something that I've really learned over the last year is much more important than I thought it would be. And that's a lot of the reason behind the pivot that I'm kind of exploring. So when you pumped out that slide, it's just like, oh, we're talking to Sony and Warner Bros. It's just like, okay, I get it. Like you're in the crowd, and your CEO worked there. So that's a big deal. And I think your way you executed so far is really interesting. I think there are a lot of things you're gonna have to figure out in terms of exactly how you pick out the artists and kind of finding artists that aren't already being looked at, that sort of thing. But your confidence, you're very sure that you're going to be able to do that. I think that, plus the fact that you've already figured out a lot of the big questions, I believe you believe that you were better in a better spot than I was last year. So, yeah. Yeah.
So the judges, have you reached kind of a consensus?
Sure. So I think Indify is a little bit of an unfair advantage. You said you include them in the bidding. I think Indify was incredibly well thought out, and you've been working on it since before the class, or did you start working on it during the semester?
Shortly before the class.
Okay, yeah. So what you accomplished in a semester is pretty fantastic. But that being said, we kind of decided between those two is Indify and Crafty was our second favorite. Crafty we really liked because we think their B2B play is really interesting. The fact that they can go right to these businesses and start to sell, which is a little bit easier than trying to acquire these viral effects that a lot of these apps kind of needed. So that coupled with the fact that I really enjoyed this beer. Seriously though, their algorithm so much works. If this beer is an indicator of their general algorithm, that on top of kind of the way they're approaching the market, I think is really interesting, and I think it's something that we agreed on.
Very cool. Let's give a round of applause to the judges. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I think we're going to do a kind of an after demo day party at McGrady's for those who are old enough to drink, which I've been informed all of you are. With that being said, feel free to talk to all the participants, especially the LVTech crowd, and it's been a great time, and I wish all of you a good night. Thank you.